Hi, welcome to Keeping Guard. My name is Coleman Pratt, and I established Keeping Guard to assist pastors and ministry leaders to care for their soul, their family, and their ministries. My desire is to see God use Keeping Guard to encourage pastors and ministry leaders to fulfill their call with integrity, joy, purpose, and faithfulness. On my website, keepingguard.org, I've been posting videos under what I call the Pastor's Corner, which I hope will just help encourage and equip pastors and ministry leaders. I've been talking recently about what I call shaped by encounter. As I think about my life, I can point to 7 distinct times where God met me in a life-shaping, ministry-shaping encounter that changed the trajectory of my ministry. The first one I talked about was shaped by surrender. When I was reading Hudson Taylor's biography, and I came across that statement that he made, God always gives the best to them that leave the choice with him. That kind of has become the theme for my life. Next, I talked about shaped by disappointment. Through the inevitable disappointments of ministry, how God met me in a way that I encountered his love in a deeper and a more intimate way than ever before that literally changed my life. Today, I want to talk about what I'm calling shaped by longing. What do I mean by that? Well, this is something that pastor, ministry leader, you may have discovered many years ago, but I can remember after I was saved and after I become part of the ministry and was doing ministry, that no matter how well things were going, no matter how successful a ministry event or a church service had gone, that I sensed after that, the high or the euphoric feeling of that left, I sensed that there was something lacking, something missing. I became quite concerned, and I would think hard, is there something wrong with me? Do I need to be praying more? Do I need to be working harder? Do I need to be reading the Bible more? Is there something that I'm not doing, or something that I'm doing that is responsible for this sense of lack, this sense of something missing in my heart? Well, I was reading C.S. Lewis' classic book, Mere Christianity. And in that book, C.S. Lewis says something that's very well known. You probably have read it and probably used it in sermons. But when I first came across it, I want to tell you, it hit me like a freight train in a good way. This is what C.S. Lewis said. He said, if I find in myself a desire which nothing in this world satisfies, the most logical explanation is that I was made for another world. End quote. Now I want to tell you, when I read those words, it was like the bird let out of the cage. I mean, I felt such a great sense of relief and freedom because all of a sudden I started to realize that this lack that I felt, this longing that I was sensing, wasn't something that was wrong. It was something that was very right. I think this is what the Apostle Paul was speaking of in part in the book of Colossians when he was talking about the mystery of the Gentiles, that God had included the Gentiles. But he talks about this mystery in Colossians chapter 1 and verse 27. He defines what that mystery is. He says, it is Christ in you, the hope of glory. And you see, that's what I think the longing is. That's what I think the ache is. I think it is the hope of glory. I think it is the longing, the ache for our true home, for heaven. I don't know about you, but maybe I do. But I know that in the daily grind of ministry, sometimes pastor, ministry leader, we fail to think about heaven enough. And that's to our detriment. You see, I think God has placed this ache in our heart, this longing in our soul as our friend, not our enemy. And while it is oftentimes painful, it is a good pain. It's like I like to say to people, the ache is good. And it's good because it is increasing our thirst. It is increasing our hunger. It is increasing our anticipation of our true home. Because no matter how well things go here, no matter how successful our ministries may or may not be, the fact of the matter is, we were not designed for this place. We were designed for another world. Do you know, I think this is exactly what the Apostle Paul was pointing to in Romans chapter 8, verses 18 and following, when he talks about the fact that we join all of creation with what he calls an inward groaning. And that inward groaning, he goes on to identify, is the anticipation. It is the eagerly anticipating the redemption of our bodies. And he says, in this hope, we were saved. It's God's gift to us. And while it can and often is painful, and sometimes, to be honest, frustrating, that there's always this sense of lack, the thing that I have found to be incredibly helpful and life-giving and soul-nourishing is to simply sit with the ache and allow it to do what God designed it to do, to increase my longing for heaven and to be with Him. Pastor, ministry leader, things may be going incredibly well for you. And listen, I hope they are. But I just want to remind you and remind myself that the ache that we oftentimes feel when we're quiet enough and courageous enough to be aware of it, the ache that we feel is our friend. Sit with your friend and allow it to give you that eager anticipation of the glory that awaits us. Thanks so much for joining me today. I just want to remind us again before I let you go. If we find in ourselves a desire which nothing in this world can satisfy, the most logical explanation is that we were made for another world. And you want to know something? It's not just the most logical explanation. It is also the biblical explanation. Thanks for being with me today. Check me out on my website, keepingguard.org. There's a contact form there. Reach out. Let me know how I can be praying for you and your own God-shaping encounters that has really impacted and changed your life. God bless you this day. Bye-bye.